Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm Dr. Gurunath Badiger, Associate Professor of English, Government Tertiary College, Dharwad. Today, in this session, we are going to discuss a very important topic. What is literature? I welcome all of you for this particular session, and particularly the students of literature in this class. Every student of literature or reader of literature need to know what is literature, why we should study literature, what are the uses of reading literature, and what's its relationship with other aspects of life, society, science, etc. Today, I'm going to just talk about what literature is, and I'm going to share the screen with you, and let's discuss some of the important aspects of literature today. Dear friends, as you know, literature is indispensable part of our everyday life. Literature is almost very much attached to the music of life as it is attached to nature, the ebbs and flows of our heart, the rise and fall, the sunrise and the sunset, the harmony, the music, the song of the birds, everything that envelopes into one important subject, that is literature. Let's see what is the importance of literature, how literature is born. You know, in fact, literature is the product of human interest, the product of human language. Ever since the beginning of human language, man began to take interest in making use of language, making the dance of the language, and language is systematically used to produce literature. Language and literature play a very important role in human life. Man is not only a social animal, but also known for intellectual capacity. Whenever we are describing man, we say that man is the most intelligent animal in the world. Man is the tool using animal, man is the speaking animal, man is the social animal, man is the most intellectual of all other animals. And it is because of this quality, man has been able to develop a language into literature, literature into criticism, variety of things over the years. And man always claims that the language is the most sophisticated tool which other animals do not use. They have a limited communication. If a dog wants to communicate with another dog, they have minimum way of barking. They may change the tone. If one cow wants to call another cow or a calf, you know, it has its own limited way of calling. But man uses millions of words, variations, meanings, sophisticated way of using language, tone, intonation. That's why language is the speciality of human beings. Language is the expression of ideas by means of speech, sounds combined into words, and language is dynamic. It is always changing. You have 100 varieties in Kannada, thousands of varieties in English. So every language is dynamic. It is changing from time to time, place to place, country to country, and culture to culture. Obviously, language is a very interesting medium of communication man uses. Literature is, in fact, the product of this language. Yes, once we discuss what is language, I'm not going to discuss in detail the language theories and all. Let me just talk about what is literature in brief. What is literature then? Sahitya, literature. What we call literature is the question. Everybody speaks about literature. Everybody speaks about poetry. As our Shakespeare says in his famous poem, Seven Ages of Man, or All the World is a Stage. Every young man writes a poem, murmurs a love poem once in a life. So we are very much near to this kind of, creating something out of this language. That's why we say literature is an expression of life through the medium of language. We must understand these words. Literature is an expression. Literature is expression of what? Expressing something about life, something that is related to human life, because since literature is written by man, for man, and of man, obviously it's a human creation, human expression, and it deals with life, whatever. How? Through the medium of language. The medium used in production of literature is language. So we want language to create literature. So literature is an expression of life through the medium of language. Then what literature consists of? Literature consists of books of great human interest. Today we are talking about number of books. Sometimes people say all that is written is literature. Whether everything that is written is literature? You have railway guide, you have cookery book, you have mobile handbook, or a kind of a manual you get when you purchase any new item or a gadget. Do you call it literature? All that is written is literature? No. All that is written cannot be literature. These are all words, information. We always say literature is something that is best that is thought and best that is written. Best that is thought and best that is written. These are called great books. We have Ramayana, Mahabharata, Iliad, Odyssey, Shakuntalam, Abhijnana Shakuntalam. We have wonderful Tagore's literature, Arvindo's literature. We have Bendre, we have Kuempu, we have wonderful writers across the world, Shakespeare, Milton, Keats, Shelley, Hardy, Eliot, wonderful writers. The best writers, the best thinking has become literature. We cultivate a special interest for nature, and its beautiful aspects. So it's because of literature we begin to think about nature and its beautiful aspects. Literature is dealing with either life or the the something that is related to life, that is nature. Nature is the indispensable part of human life, and all our joys and sorrows, ups and downs, is related to nature. So literature is, in fact, uh, the the expression of human thoughts on nature and its beautiful aspects. The interesting factors of literature are thought, feeling, imagination, beauty, style, and form. So, literature is something about the thoughts we are talking about. We get great thoughts in literature, wonderful thoughts, what we say, sayings, we get. Our sweetest songs are those that tell us saddest thoughts. Shelley comes out with this kind of a thought. Keats says, truth is beauty, beauty, truth. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Shakespeare comes out with wonderful statements. All the world is a stage, we are merely the players. Life is a tale told by an idiot. There are number of thoughts. Golden girls and chimney sweepers all must come to dust. What Shakespeare writes. So it's about wonderful thoughts. Every poem is a thought. Every drama, makes you wiser. And literature is also about feelings, wonderful feelings, whether it is joyful feelings or sad feelings, love feelings. Oh, my love is like a red, red rose. You see. And literature is also about feelings, feelings and sentiments we are talking about. Sometimes you write about wonderful feelings, or sometimes you write about the feelings of someone's death, like break, break, break. And literature is also about imagination. Literature speaks about wonderful world of imagination. You see the world of Wordsworth's daffodils. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats over high vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake and beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. What a wonderful world of imagination of Wordsworth's daffodils, Keats's nightingale, Shelley's skylark, Bendre's Patragitti Pakka. And its poet has liberty of imagination. So you enter the world of imagination when you read St. Coleridge's Kubla Khan, the sunny pleasure dome with the caves of eyes. Such a great imagination you find in this particular poem. And then literature speaks about beauty. Beauty is the one everybody, that's what I remember. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Beauty, even Keats went to the extent of saying truth is beauty, beauty is truth. He attached truth with beauty, beauty with the truth. That's beautiful. That's sublime. The beauty of thought, the beauty of words, the beauty of language, the beauty of style, all that is important in literature. Another element is style. Bapun says, style is the man. Every writer comes out with a style. Every writer is known for his or her unique style of writing, style of saying, style of expression. Style is a very interesting thing in literature. I'm going to talk about it in detail in the later classes. And finally, form. Form is everything. Formalist says form. So we get a form here, a perfect form, symmetry. That's a very interesting part. Sonnet has a form, elegy has a form, ode has a form, novel has a form. You know, every literary piece has a form. It cannot be formless. So form is also an important aspect while studying literature. Let's move on. Some definitions, of course, we need to know before we go for further discussion. Literature is the criticism of life. Matthew Arnold, who is a famous poet and critic of 19th century England, a great Victorian poet and critic, he made a statement that literature is the criticism of life. Literature is the criticism. Criticism means literature speaks about life. Literature analyzes life. Literature interprets life. Literature judges life. Literature as an evaluation of life. Literature as the elucidation of life. In that way, it is criticism of life. All our joys and sorrows, the digi joys and aching rapture. You know, when kid says, my heart aches, the drowsy numbness pains. Shakespeare wrote great tragedies and great comedies. When you read Thomas Hardy, you come to know the tragedy of life. When you read Charles Dickens, you understand the poverty and its various forms. When you read Keats, you understand the beauty, you understand the senses, you understand. So obviously, life is the central part of all literary creations. Literature is said to be born out of human expression because I told you in the beginning that literature is all about humans and it's a human expression. It's a human expression. Even when we talk about Durga Simha's Panchatantra, all about animals, but it's a human expression about human thoughts. It's the product of man and his varied experiences. Of course, I told you in the beginning that literature is like our definition of democracy. For man, by man, of man. It's a human expression for humans. The writer is a human being, the readers are also human beings. Sir Udaya, we are talking about the readers. Literature is also an expression of all that is beautiful and lovely. I told you beauty is one of the important aspects of literature. And that is the expression. Literature is also an expression of all that is beautiful and lovely. Finally, life beautiful, life lovely is presented in literature. The real life is chaotic, but it tries to present some kind of a perfection. The life ideal and the life real are contrasted here. So literature speaks about the beautiful and the lovely. Emerson writes, I quote, Literature is the record of the best thought and feeling of intelligent men and women. See here, the record of best thought. Thought, I was talking about thought. Thought plays an important role. And feeling of whom? Intelligent men and women. Intelligent men and women. They are not ordinary. Poets are not ordinary. That's why in Indian philosophy, we call poets as Rishi. We have Rishi Parampara. Valmiki was a Rishi. Vyasa was a Rishi. Kuvempu is a Rishi. In that way, Bendre is a Rishi. They have that kind of ability to become Rishi. Saint-like, intelligent. So obviously, the thoughts come from such intelligent men and women. So it's not just ordinary, I tell you. And we need to remember these 5 points, 5 elements, how literature deals with different aspects of life. Literature of purely personal experience, example, love poems, autobiography, Atmacharitre, romantic poetry, all about, I told you about love poems, I told you about nature poems, I told you about wonderful autobiographies of Mahatma Gandhi, you know, the story of my experiments with truth. All are dealing with personal experiences. Romantic poetry is about personal experiences. I was just speaking about Burns's poem, My Love is Like Red, Red Rose. Keats's La Bella Dame Sans Mercy. Shelley's famous poem, Ode to the West Wind. Oh, West Wind, you are the destroyer and the preserver. Lift me as a wave, as a leaf, I fall upon the thorns of life. Personal experiences. Second point, literature dealing with the common questions of life, death, and God. You have philosophical literature, common questions of life. You know, there are many, many questions of life. And obviously about death also. I told you, golden girls and chimney sweepers all must come to dust. And Eliot says, I will show you death in handful of dust. In handful of dust. Manninda kaya, manninda. We have philosophic interpretation of life. We have some divine literature. We have Dasa literature here. We have philosophic literature like of Sharif. So there are poems, you have Sharana literature, Vachana literature. Literature dealing with common questions of life, death, God. Literature dealing with, the third point is literature dealing with nature and man's relationship with external world. Dealing with nature. We have wonderful nature poems by William Wordsworth, whether it is Tintern, Daffodils, To the Cuckoo, or Ode on Intimations of Immortality. Man's relationship with the external world, when you read, the world is too much with us, of late we waste our powers in getting and spending. Nature poems, wonderful nature poems. The fourth aspect is literature dealing with social and world order and its activities. Social novels and satires. If you go back to England, you have wonderful social novels by Charles Dickens's humanitarian novels, Great Expectations, David Copperfield, Pickwick Papers. Wonderful satires like Gulliver's Travels. When you come to Kannada literature, you have wonderful social novels by U.R. Anantamurthy, Samskara, Shivaram Karanth, Choma's Dram. You know, you have wonderful Kanuru by Kuempu, and many, many, many more. You know, wonderful social picture you can get. Literature which deals with literature and arts themselves. Literature dealing with literature. It's an interpretation of interpretation. That's what we call criticism. That's vimarsha. So, criticism is another branch of literature. You also see wonderful writings in criticism. It has become a part of literature. So, literature which deals with literature and arts themselves. So, that is called criticism. Why should we study literature? The last point in today's session is why should we study literature? Literature makes us think positive. If you are a good reader, you know, that's why I again remember Francis Bacon, reading maketh a full man, writing an exact man, and conference a ready man. Reading makes you full. You will be full means you'll be so calm and tolerant. You think positive because you come to know more about life. You come to know different experiences of life. You come to know more about wonderful thoughts in the world. And you come to know about beauty in nature. Life sustains despite of struggles, pandemics, wars. Everything is conquered by life. All these things, many people may say that it has taken life. No, wars happened, but people came out from the wars. They emerged like phoenix. So we have conquered many times. It means that positive thinking makes man very healthy and happy. It makes us philosophic in thinking. We accept all the challenges, difficulties happily. If you are a good reader of Vachana literature, you understand that life is not so difficult. If you have read novels of, Hardy, you never find life very difficult because there are people who faced, greater difficulties yet became successful. If you read Shakespeare's great tragedies, Othello, Macbeth, King Lear, Hamlet, great comedies as you like it. If you read Shelley, Tagore, Premchand, your way of thinking is always different. We grow wiser because we read stories of human tragedies, we read stories of human successes, failures, and we grow wiser. That's why hope is the best medicine given by literature, taught by literature. Finally, there is a hope. Life sustains. Finally, the truth wins. That's what we call poetic justice. Virtue rewarded, vice is punished. The good should win in life. And this is the truth literature always speaks about. So study of literature is a very interesting and important part in everybody's life, whether you are a scientist, a student, an engineer, or a teacher, or anyone. Reading books, great books, should be made a habit in your life. With this, I'm going to close today's session. Thank you so much.